If I wanted to become a shadow operator in 2026, this is exactly what I'll do. And before I get into kind of step by step and walk you through the entire business, I think it's important to explain why you should listen to me. So I've been a shadow operator for the past few years. I've worked with multiple influencers in different niches and have generated over 7 figures doing this. So everything I'll be talking about today is derived from my own experience and my own lessons that I've learned along the way. So look, I'm going to assume that you clicked on this video, you're curious about shadow operating, and you probably want to learn more about it, right? And maybe this is kind of like one of your first online businesses that you're trying out. So the very first thing that we need to do if we want to get into shadow operating is actually understand what a shadow operator actually is, right? All right, so a shadow operator is someone who goes out, finds an influencer and partners with them and then build a digital offer. So this could be a product or service, which the influencer will then promote to their audience and you guys essentially split the revenue. Now, in terms of the responsibilities, the shadow operator is responsible for managing and setting up the kind of like the whole back end side of the business. So the sales page, the application, email marketing, customer support, that type of stuff, right? Things that the influencer probably doesn't have time to do and doesn't want to do. And then the influencer, what they do is essentially keep doing what they're good at, which is creating content and then promoting what you have created. So the actual offer, right? And this is perfect for you if you're just getting started, because if you don't want a personal brand, if you don't want to show your face, you can fully operate, the back end side of the business without ever revealing your identity, while the influencer does what they're good at, which is creating content, building trust with their audience, growing their personal brand. And so it's a win-win. Okay, so now you know what a shadow operator is. Let's kind of get into like the very first step, right? So let's say, all right, I want to get started right now. So what I would recommend to you is to go out and just start looking at different influencers. So I kind of want you to shotgun this and just, hop on Instagram, hop on YouTube, just start looking at the different influencers with no specific criteria yet. And I want you to go ahead, go through their kind of profiles, check out the links that they're promoting and kind of getting an idea, right? You're just getting your feet wet. You're getting an understanding of what these influencers are actually offering. And then once you've done that, I want you to see if you can, find the best looking websites and the best looking sales pages and then study those. Because if you don't know what a good offer looks like, then how will you be able to build one yourself? So then once you've, collected, let's say 10 different people that you really like what they're offering, then you can kind of study those and see what the funnel is. So you can go through it as a customer and just understand how things work. And so once you've done this, you're going to see, okay, all these influencers, what are they promoting? Which ones look good? Which ones don't? Go through them as a customer and then understand the flow. So maybe even get a piece of paper and kind of draw out, okay, so he's taken me to the sales page. Now we're going to the next step, which might be an application form. Now we're going to the next step and just kind of understand the flow, right? Because once you can do that, you're going to really get the flow and kind of know like how it actually works. So then what I want you to do is get familiar with the softwares that these influencers are using. So, what are the softwares that you can use to create sales pages, to actually host a digital product, to do the email marketing, to handle the payments. Like, get familiar with these and learn them yourselves. You don't really have to build anything, but maybe make a free account, just learn how to set things up, because what this will do is create a foundational understanding. So firstly, by looking at the influencers, you know what a good offer looks like and you know what a bad offer looks like. And then you'll study kind of the top ones, like I said, and see why they're working. And then you'll know the softwares as well. So once you've done that and you're kind of a bit more familiar with the softwares, the next step is to actually go out and find influencers. So what I would do is pick one niche, and this could be a broad niche, and then there's many sub niches within that. So for example, like fitness, right? Inside of the fitness niche, you have keto, carnivore, vegan, whatever, like vegetarian, pescatarian, all these different types of sub niches within fitness. So yeah, you want to pick a niche and just focus on that. And if you run out of like carnivore influencers to look for, then you can move to the next sub niche of that big fitness niche. And so this will be your focus area where you're looking for influencers, and you'll kind of see as you look for more influencers in the same niche, what everyone's doing, who looks better, who doesn't, what kind of messaging works with them. Once you do get results, you can take that to the next fitness influencer and say, hey, look, I've worked with another fitness influencer. I know I can do this for you. So that is kind of like the benefit of sticking with one niche. It's your point of focus rather than just messaging anyone and everyone. And so the niche is very important. And after that is like kind of building up a list of influencers. So let's say you've picked, I don't know, the mindset niche, right? So what you want to do is you want to look on, these platforms such as Instagram, YouTube, and build up a list of influencers that you could actually reach out to. So kind of the things you want to look for here is, do they have enough followers? Like, I wouldn't be going for someone who has only a couple thousand. I would at least want, say, 30,000 followers so you can actually build a real business. And then the next thing is like engagement. Do they have fake followers, or are the followers actually real? That's very important. And then like obviously they need to be in your niche, and the content that they're posting should be more educational and helping people rather than just pure entertainment. And so those are the things I'll be looking for. And once you have the list of people that you want to reach out to, that's when you go to the next step, which is actually messaging them. So there's something very important I should mention now. I know a lot of people use AI to write their messages nowadays. I would strongly advise against that when reaching out to influencers, because firstly, they do get a ton of messages. So if you're just using AI like everyone else, you're not going to stand out. But then secondly, like, it shows that you're not putting in the effort. The influencer will be instantly able to tell. Okay, so now that you know that, the next thing is like, what is actually in the message, right? So you want to kind of state why you're messaging them, explain what you have to offer, and point out the monetization gap that you feel is there and how you could actually help them. And then generate some curiosity. So basically get them to reply. And so that's like the 4 main things that you want in that initial message. And if you do this properly, you should be getting a decent response rate, right? And so you want to message everyone on your list, send that message, and then see who actually replies. And if they don't reply, you can follow up with them over the few days. But like, let's say someone does actually reply and they are interested. The next step is actually hopping on a discovery call with them. And so on this call, what you'll do is explain the partnership opportunity. You'll kind of explain like how you can actually help them, and that there's no upfront cost to them. So there's literally zero risk because they don't have to pay you. You only make money when they make money. So they know that it's in your best interest to make this work, because otherwise you're not going to get paid, right? And another thing is just making sure they understand that they will be one of your main focuses, and you're not looking to, get a ton of clients. You just literally want to work with them. And if you've done this step right, then, the influencer would like to go into a partnership with you. And once you've secured the partnership, you can move on to the next step, which is actually building an offer for the audience. And so this should be done very carefully. You don't want to build something that no one wants and just kind of assume what the audience wants. We want to go out to the audience first and actually get some data and, kind of survey in a way to see the pain points and understand the audience. So this is very important so that when you do actually launch, you know that there will be demand on day one. And so once you've created the offer, then you want to actually set up the digital platform where this offer will be hosted. So whatever you guys have agreed on with the influencer, you want to create this offer in the platform so that, when you do send people to the sales page and they do sign up, they can get access to that offer immediately. Now, there's different types of offers that you can build. I won't get into too much detail in this video or become way too long, but essentially there's courses, there's coaching, there's community. Those are the types of things that you could build. And then the next step from there is actually building out the digital product. So you want to work closely with the influencer and to get whatever content or things that are needed so that it can become a live ready product that you can start promoting. And so once you have the digital product ready, you're getting closer to launch. But what you will need to do is make sure you set up and optimize your sales page. And so this page is what the influencer will actually be promoting. So, on their stories and their posts, essentially like the link that they have in their bio, it will all be going to the sales page that you set up. And, you'll know exactly what to do on the sales page if you did the very first step right, which is actually studying the top influencers and seeing what offers they've created and learning the structure of the sales page. So like, okay, the headline, the video, kind of understanding how it's laid out. And then also you'll know what tools to use because you would have researched and got familiar with the softwares. And so you'd build out the sales page. And then the next thing after that is essentially launching. And so launch is the beginning of the business, not the end. I think a lot of people get confused and, for example, they expect that if they don't do well in launch, then that's it. But my mindset and kind of like what I want to share with you is that launch is day one. So we kind of want to, understand that this is a process and that we're going to build our revenue up over time and over the months. And this is a thing that you can keep building, keep promoting, and keep growing. So that's very important to understand and not to have such a short-term view. So now that you know kind of like the whole process in a nutshell, obviously, we go into a lot more detail, and especially in my one-on-one coaching program, I actually walk you through in granular detail so you know exactly like what criteria to look for influencers, exactly what message to send them, like the script for the sales call, the agreement template, like absolutely everything I provide inside of that coaching program. If you do want to check it out, you can click that first link in the description and fill out the quick application. If you're a good fit, we'll hop on a call and yeah, you can come on as a client. So now what I want to do is kind of talk about what I would do differently if I was just getting started. And this business model is constantly evolving. Obviously you have AI in the picture, but there's more and more influencers. So basically that means there's more and more potential partners for us to work with, which is a good thing. But we want to make sure that firstly we stand out. So we're not using AI for the messages. We want to use our human, brain to write the messages. And then another thing is to document everything that you're doing. So when you get started in this business, I want you to literally maybe make a diary. So for example, today I did this. I found these influencers, I studied these sales pages. Next day, I found this many influencers, I sent 20 DMs, for example. So you just want to document everything. So then you can actually go back and look at this document and see everything that you've done. And when you do hit those numbers like 10K, 20K online, you're literally going to have a blueprint for how you got there. And that is something that you can just replicate and just see everything that you've done. So that's what I would recommend to do. And another thing, which is arguably the most important, is to get a mentor before you feel you need one. Because, if you're just getting started, it will take some time to learn all of this stuff on your own and figure this all out and, go through the trials and tribulations, exactly what I went through when I got started, versus learning from someone who's actually done it, who's actually gotten results, and that will make all the difference in shortening your learning curve from potentially 12 months to just 90 days and generating your first online income a lot faster. So yeah, if you are interested in becoming a shadow operator and you want to take this seriously and make this work, then I do encourage you to click that first link in the description. You can apply to work with me. Other than that, I appreciate you watching this video. Hope it was valuable. Please like and subscribe and see you on the next one.